Okay, this video will talk through cube roots. So let's think about the first 10 perfect cubes. I'm not going to do all 10, but a cube root is raised to the power of 3. So 2 cubed means 2 times itself 3 times. 3 times itself 3 times. 4 times itself 3 times. That's 64. And then 5 times itself 3 times. So the cube roots are not quite as familiar to us as square roots are, but it's the same logic. So now when I'm looking at my radical, I can see that a number is written inside my index. So here in number 15, the 3 is written in the index. So that's your cue that you're looking for a factor or factors of this radicand multiplied times themselves 3 times. So the index tells you how many times the factor should repeat in the radicand in order for it to be a perfect square or a perfect cube. So your simplified answer for number 15 is just 2 written outside of the radical. And let's go back and equate this for just a minute to the square root. So just like I showed you, the square root is the same thing as taking that radicand and raising it to the fractional power of 1 over 2. A cube root is equivalent to taking the radicand and raising it to the power of 1 over 3. And in the graphing calculator in your math menu, so you hit the little button that says math, and the fourth option down is the cube with the radical sitting here. So you would simply bring up the command, you would go into the math menu, bring up this cube root symbol, hit enter, and then you would type in would type in the arguments, what it was called. You would type in the radicand and hit enter, and then your calculator would give you the 2. And I'll show you how to do that in class as well. Okay, so let's do a few of these. Let's look at 16 first. And as I said a minute ago, cube roots are not as easily recognizable as square roots because we just simply don't think about it that much. So here I've got the 5 sitting here, which I'll ignore for just a minute. The cube root of 343 is 7. So 343 is 7 times itself 3 times. So 7 cubed is 343. So the answer for number 16, the simplified answer would be 5 times 7, or 35. Nothing would remain underneath the radical since 343 is a perfect cube. Before I get into the negatives, let's go down and look at 19 and 20 for a minute. So here I have radicands that are not perfect cubes. Just verify that 192 is not a perfect cube. No, neither radicand is a perfect cube. So what I'm looking for is a factor of the radicand that would be the largest perfect cube. Well, 40 is 8 times 5. So 8 is my perfect cube. So my simplified answer in reduced radical form for number 19 would be 2 times the cube root of 5. And then looking at number 20, well, I'm not as familiar with 192, so I'm going to take 192, I'm going to divide it in half. So 192 is 2 times 96. And 96 is not a perfect cube. So I'm going to keep going. So I'm still looking for a cube root. I'm going to break 96 down. I'm going to divide 96 by 9. And that didn't work. So let me divide 96 by 3. So 96 is 3 times 32. I still don't have perfect cubes, but it's getting smaller, so it's becoming easier for me to figure out what's going on. So I've got 2 times 3. And I know that 32 is 8 times 4. So I'm now getting to something that's recognizable, and I want to show you this process so that you know how to break these numbers down whenever it's not just obvious right away what's happening. So now I'm going to go one more step and then we'll wrap it up. So I've got 2 times 2. Well, I'm going to express 8 as 2 cubed because I know that answer. And then I have 4, which I'm going to write, and I'll go to green for this. I'm going to write this 4 as 2 times 2. So let's come up here. Here's my cube root. Well, I know that I've got 2 cubed, and I see that I've got 1, 2, 3 more 2's in here, which represents yet another perfect cube. So I have 2 cubed, and then that means I would have 1 2 left over. So he's going to be left over, times 2. So now when I simplify this, I would have 1 2 coming down, another 2 coming out, and then what would remain underneath the radical would be this last 2. So my simplified answer for number 20 is going to be 4 times the cube root of 2. So let's stop here on this video with this, and then we'll deal with negative cube roots on a separate video.